What's good, Wizards fans? This is your host, the real Ed Oliver and Brandon Scott. Today, we're going to talk about some trade reports and rumors about Gallo and Tyus Jones, and also we're going to do a Wizards versus Hornets preview. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. All right, so today we're going to talk about the Gallo and Tyus Jones trade reports and rumors. We're actually going to, and we're also going to talk about a report about Monumental Sports Network, and also we will finish up previewing the Wizards versus Hornets. This is the third time we played the Hornets. So a very, very familiar team, very familiar opponent tomorrow night. So this is a couple reports, rumors out here. One is from Amico Hoops. This is kind of stuff that we already know. It's not anything new, honestly. He said the Wizards are expected to move Danilo Gallinari per Amico Hoops. This one, I mean, that's something that we already know, basically. But I'm going to read the article. Here it says the Wizards are expected to look to move for Danilo Gallinari ahead of the February trade deadline and likely even closer to the middle of December when more players become trade eligible. Gallinari, 35, was acquired this past offseason as part of the three-team trade with the Celtics and Grizzlies to send Porzingis to Boston. He has appeared in 12 games this season, averaging 8 points, 3 boards, shooting 50% from the field before coming to Washington. He spent time with the Hawks, Thunder, Clippers, Nuggets, and Knicks. He also goes on to say Gallinari is not the only name being mentioned when it comes to players the rebuilding Wizards could unload this season. Point guard Tyus Jones and shooting guard Landry Shamet are believed to be others, with even starting guard Jordan Poole also being viewed as an outside possibility as a trade candidate. Also, the other interesting Nugget article came out from Sean Devaney. He's an NBA insider and content editor for Heavy.com. He says that it's been a year of Miami Heat trade rumors, and with the league's deal deadline coming in February, it will be another 3 months of the same. One name that has been floated in connection with the Heat could gain some traction, according to executives around the NBA. Wizards guard Tyus Jones. Jones is a 9-year veteran who has played 4 seasons with the Timberwolves and 4 with the Grizzlies before he was dealt to the Wizards. He has been good for the Wizards thus far with 10 points a game. He also goes on to say he's another guy a lot of contenders are going to be watching. One Eastern Conference executive told Heavy Sports, if you're the Heat, they're looking at him when it comes time to add a guard, which I think everyone expects they'll do. He is a tough guy. He will come off the bench. He will do whatever the role you want filled is. He is a little bit of a bulldog. Trouble is always making the money work. So I know that's a long couple articles I read there, but what are your thoughts? I guess we'll start with Tyus Jones and the Miami Heat, or just Tyus Jones being on the trade block. What are your thoughts on that? And then we'll talk about Gallo.
I agree with him, man. I think that's a really good move for Miami, man. Tyus Jones shows that he can start if he needs to start, but I do think on a contender such as Miami, he's best served as a second unit. But he's played well. He's definitely played well. His assist numbers are pretty decent. He's, like you said, he's averaged around 10. So we've always believed that, he definitely had the most value out of all of the veteran aspiring contracts on the Wizards roster. So, yeah, I think that's a good fit, man. Now, what would I expect in return? With them being a contending team, I don't expect a first, maybe a second. Player-wise, I mean, we'll see how the overall deal is. But I think that would be a good move for the Wizards, man, because that opens up minutes, especially you'll have DeLon. But, the biggest thing now is finding minutes for Johnny Davis, especially, with Kispert on the second unit and Bilal Coulibaly on the second unit. So, good move, in my opinion. Yeah, if you have him, I definitely would entertain a deal to Miami with Tyus Jones.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I got to see what picks they have as well. Looking at their roster, of course, Tyler Hero is injured. They do have Kyle Lowry, who is a veteran who's actually had a decent season. They do have Duncan Robinson, who's had a couple of games recently as well. So I'm just intrigued to see who they would give up. I know they have Haywood Highsmith, but he's been starting for them, so I don't think they give him up. Nikola Jovic has actually been playing in the G League. So that's a young developmental player that we could get back. 6'11", can shoot the three, can put the ball on the floor, very versatile big man, slash swing forward, swing man, kind of a 6'11" hybrid, modern day kind of player. They also have Josh Richardson. I'm not really looking for him, but just really picks in return. So you might get a second round pick. You probably get 2 second round picks. If Monte got a second round pick, I think Tyus Jones is a little bit better than Monte Morris. So maybe you get 2 of them, but I'm not expecting a big return like you said as well. So just looking at their roster, I'm not sure what you would get in return. They do have Thomas Bryant on the Heat. I'm not looking for him to come back to DC, honestly, even though we do need another big, but that's not the type of big that I'm looking for in Thomas Bryant. So, I mean, the Heat don't really have anything attractive as far as a trade package. I mean, we know we're not going to get much for Tyus, but, if you can get a pick for him, I think that's the best you're really going to get. You're most likely not going to get a first-round pick. But Tyus is playing well, man. He had a good game last night. He had 18 points.
Yeah.
He had one stinker where he had 0 points. But other than that, he's been solid. He's been a good, steady Eddie guard. Hasn't really – wowed anybody or, gotten to the paint. The floater is working for him. The 3-point shot's working for him. He's a good facilitator. He's just a really good, solid backup or a solid starter. He's going to get the job. And with the Heat and their Heat culture, I think he would fit in well with them. Knock down a bunch of threes, floater, play solid defense. Not a great defender at all. Him and Poole, that backcourt together has not been a good defensive backcourt. But I think with the Heat, they probably get him to play solid defense. So, I think it would be a good move moving him to the Heat for sure. Or if we can get a different team in there with the trade, I think we could find some better teams with maybe young talent compensation possibly. But I think the Heat is definitely somebody to keep in mind for sure. All right, let's move on to Gallo. So Gallo looks like they're trying to move him on a little bit earlier than what we thought. I was thinking maybe you would have to wait until the trade deadline, or even a buyout would happen. So. Our guy Neil DeLaw, he was so excited about Gallo. He said that he could potentially go for a first-round pick. So, what are your thoughts on the articles about Danilo Gallinari?
I don't quite see a first-round pick, man. I don't see it.
Yeah.
But before I get on Gallo, man, to kind of piggyback on the Miami Heat deal with Tyus Jones, you mentioned Jovic, man. That is a guy I want in return. 6'10". I mean, he's a 6'10" forward, man, who is young, and I think he could have a future here, man. He's a young guy. So I would definitely entertain a second-round pick and Nikola Jovic. Absolutely. That's the guy I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Look at that Gallo.
And then there's another guy named Orlando Robinson. He's a young big man who's not bad.
Yeah.
Jaime Jaquez, they're not going to trade him. He's playing really well. He's a rookie. So
yeah, I would entertain that deal in a heartbeat, man. Looking at Gallo, I don't see a first rounder, man. The scoring potential is there. Like I say it all the time, man, how he's always been a scorer. Going back to his Knicks days, the Nuggets days, even the Clippers days, he's a guy who could definitely score the ball, man. But he does not move well. You could tell that he's in the later stages of the career, but he does have that. Contending teams are going to want a guy off the bench who can get them back. I can't talk tonight. Buckets. So he definitely can score. So Fitz, I don't know. I mean, could he be included in maybe the deal Miami? Maybe a 3-team deal. It remains to be seen right now who his suitors are. But I think that you got to definitely entertain moving on from Gallo because he doesn't have a future here. And, you're looking at the power forward position for the second unit. Maybe you see more minutes for Patrick Baldwin Jr. We'll see. But he's definitely a guy who you got to get some assets back. So, yeah, I think that you're going to see a lot of second-round picks as compensation because I think Kuz is probably the only guy on the roster who's a potential trade asset who could net you a first-round pick. Now you might luck out and get one for Tyus. I don't see it, but yeah, I think realistically with Gallo, man, you're looking at a second-round pick and maybe a really young prospect that is a G League prospect, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I mean, Gallo, he's a guy that he can't really move his feet at all. Man, I think we should be happy that we're going to get anything back for him.
Yeah,
because I thought it was going to be a buyout situation. I thought it was going to be similar to Will Barton, where you just had to buy him out because he can barely move his feet. He has cement feet, and he can't really guard anybody at all. He tries to rebound. He's had a couple games where he's had 6 boards, but we've been playing him at center, and that hasn't really worked out well. But offensively, he's had some good games. He had 18 points against the Hornets. who we're about to play tomorrow. He had 12 against Brooklyn, 10 against Dallas. The Hornets game, he hit 4 threes, went 4 for 7 from the three-point line. He had 16 against the Pacers, where we got blown out in the first game of the season. So he's had a couple games where he's had 10 or more points, and he shot the three ball well. So I think playoff team could use him off the bench. He would still be like a 10th, 11th man on a playoff team, but he can come in for about 10, 15 minutes, put up a couple threes. He's played no more than 20 minutes a game this season. 35 years old, coming off an ACL. Darn good free throw shooter, still a good three-point shooter. He went 6 for 6 from the free throw line against the Pacers, 5 for 5 against Brooklyn from the free throw line, 4 for 4 against Dallas. So, and he's a good veteran. He's a good leader as well. Denny has said he's been a good leader as well during training camp and whatnot. So, if you can get a second round pick for him, I think you do it. I think that would be better than a buyout.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on all points, man. I think that you should be blessed to be able to get any kind of assets back for him, man. So you definitely make that move, especially if it's for a second rounder. Like I said, maybe we get a guy who's in the G League who we can develop. So yeah, if you get anything, it's definitely a blessing, man. So
Yes, sir. All right, we're gonna move on to Monumental Sports and report that came out about them. But before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for us on this week's eBay Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. He has picked Jaden Ivey. He's regained a starting spot, and that's always going to be intriguing. Jaden Ivey, of course, looked like he wanted out. He was out with an illness, in quotation marks. We don't know if he was really ill or not, but it looked like he wanted to get traded, and now he's in the starting spot. So I understand that pick by Josh. Also, Eric Gordon with Bradley Beal remaining out. Bradley Beal is going to be out for the next couple weeks with a back injury. Gordon has been starting and putting up solid enough fantasy numbers. All right, so Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship, and eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. Also, make sure you guys use the fantasy tips from Josh Lloyd. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED highlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Also, before we get started, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right, so let's pull up the article. The article came out about a week ago now. The first one is from Jake Russell. I'm just going to read the first part. Jake Russell goes on to say, quote, when longtime Wizards star John Wall returned to DC as a member of the LA Clippers last year, they said the broadcast was told not to air a package commemorating his time in DC that staffers had put together. So that was interesting. And then the other article that came out about Monumental Sports, they also talked about the John Wall part. And they also said that in another instance, the broadcast was reportedly informed that it spent too much time praising the effort of Anthony Davis, who put together a 50-point performance in a Los Angeles Lakers win over the Wizards last December. So Zach Leonsis had a quote said, Our instruction to talent is to play the ball where it lies. Quote, our fans are smart and they get it. We don't need gratuitous comments on either side of the ledger, said Zach Leonsis. So also, there was neither a tribute to Wall or praising a 50-point performance scenes gratuitous. That's what the article says as well. So, of course, we've had guests on from Monumental Sports. We appreciate their services. Definitely listen to these guys all the time. Shout out to Chase Hughes for coming on, Chris Miller for coming on. A couple years ago, we had the other guy who was a play-by-play announcer. I can't remember his name he is no longer with NBC Sports Washington or Monumental Sports. So we've had a couple guests from them come on. We definitely respect them. They work super hard. I know it's hard for them to do this every night, but what are your thoughts on the article with them handling the John Wall situation? I was not a fan of that.
Yeah, man. Again, shout out to Chase Hughes, been on the show. Chris Miller, my dude. Chrissy Winter Scott. Definitely appreciate what they do, man. What do I say? John Wall, man, he deserves better than that. He put 10 good years in DC where he gave everything he had. He did a lot off the court. He did more than most people in DC do for the people in DC, as far as, making sure the kids have what they need to go to school, making sure the people that live in low income areas have meals to eat. I mean, he did a lot. He is still beloved in the city and always will be, because he did a lot for the city. He deserved better than that, man. You gave Davis Bertans a daggone video. You can do something for John Wall, man. I mean, outside of Gilbert Arenas, this was probably the best player we've had in his organization. Outside, I know the championship team, which Lord have mercy, I was born in '85, so I don't recollect that. John Wall is important. So this happening kind of tells me that there's a lot behind the scenes that happened with his departure before he got traded to Houston for Russell Westbrook, because there was a huge falling out. Because, yeah, I get it. The whole gang signs thing wasn't a good look, but, Gilbert Arenas, he brought a gat in the locker room, and then you celebrate him last year. So, he deserves better than that. He made a mistake. Too often in society, even in sports, man, people want to, people make mistakes, and while you don't condone the mistakes that people make, I'm a firm believer in second chances, man. That you don't, and you cannot sit. He deserves better than that. He deserves better than that. So I think they're wrong for that. Not giving kudos to other teams. Look, at the end of the day, we're basketball fans, And here's another dynamic to it. Look, most Wizards games were outnumbered. I mean, you hear MVP chants for other teams. So you want to change that? Okay, put a product on the floor that people want to come out. Look, those playoff teams with John Wall, Bradley Beal, Markieff Morris, Marshall Gutierrez, people came out. And they were excited. Put a product on the floor, man. What have we had to endure the last 3 or 4 years? The Bradley Beal era, which was a monumental disaster. I mean, it was you got to bring people in, man, and you got the product on the floor counts. The comment about making it a family friendly. My kids don't want to watch Wizards games. They're terrified because they ain't looking too good. You got to put a product on the floor that is worth people coming out, because it's not a good look when on a broadcast you hear MVP chants for players on the other team. I mean, so that's where I'm at, man. I like I said, I got a lot of respect for people that work for Monumental Sports. Chris Miller, stand-up fella, man. Stand-up, bro, man. Straight up. I mean, it was cool having him on the show. Chase Hughes, good dude. Like I said, big fan of Chrissy Winter Scott. Just got a new position. So got a lot of respect for him over there, man. But we gotta be honest. Yeah, he said that the fans ain't stupid. No, we ain't stupid. You're not gonna cheer, you're not gonna go out and pay money for a product that is just, quite frankly, hard to watch. So, and I get it as a rebuild, but it's more than just people are going to show up for a rebuild. But the thing is how these guys are playing, as far as, look at the Jordan Poole real quick. You could be in Hollywood and all that, and like, not, nobody caring, people smiling when you're getting blown out. It's just, that rubs people the wrong way, and it rubs off the consumer, man. People aren't going to pay tickets to watch people smiling getting blown out by 30. So, kind of going back to John Wall, he deserved better. He deserved better than that, because he did a lot for the city. And if you really want to resonate with the fans, show homage to a guy who really reached out to a community where even the local government didn't do that. So, he did more than most people do in a position to help people in DC. And I'll say that, he did a lot, man. So a lot of people's kids got a lot of things they needed to go to school when other people did nothing. So he deserves better than that. He did a lot for the city, man. So that's where I'm at with him, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, he went on that podcast with Theo Pinson, and he talked about how things went where the trade happened and how that transpired. And, he was ready to come back, but Tommy, he asked Brad, he was like, do you want to run it back? And Brad was like, I don't know, and then Tommy ended up trading them. And, so he didn't like the way that was handled because, he said that Tommy told him that he wasn't going to be traded. And then he ended up getting traded for Russell Westbrook. And he basically said he found out from Russell Westbrook direct messaging him on Instagram. So, he wasn't. So there was definitely a bad falling out there. Ted wasn't happy about the whole gang sign thing. And, we could go on the full story. And, John was injured. And then the whole, being a Rose Bar, stuff like that. So it didn't well, but still, I mean, like you said, I mean, they gave a tribute to Dinwiddie, Davies Bertans. I mean, they've given tribute videos to anybody. I'm a big Ish Smith fan, but they've given tribute videos to Ishmael Smith a couple of times when he's left and come back and been traded again. So they give everybody a tribute video. So I think John did get one, but the broadcast trying their best not to recognize him. I thought that was disrespectful.
Yeah.
Things that how many fans is he put in the seats? If he was here, those Hennessy seats would definitely be filled up back in 2016, 2017 when he hit that game winner against the Celtics. He did a lot for the city on and off the court, so I think he definitely deserved better for sure. But I still have a lot of respect for people at Monumental Sports. I get it's a business, so they want to be optimistic and positive. That's the angle that they're taking. They're not gonna just go out there and go on rants. I've seen it before, sometimes after some bad losses, but for the most part, they try to find every positive angle, which, like I said, I get it. I respect it. That's the angle they want to take. But as far as John Wall, I definitely think they could have did a better job paying homage to him. Also, the Anthony Davis thing, the 50-point performance, I get that sometimes they didn't want to, hype him up. He put up 55 and, so I get that too. I understand. You don't want to hype up the other team's opponents. But there's just times where we're getting our butts kicked. So, but I get it. The local fans, they may not want to hear, Joel Embiid putting up 48 and then praising him, or Anthony Davis putting up 55. Who else? Giannis yesterday putting up 42 and a whole bunch of boards and going 20 for 23 from the field. So I get it, but I wasn't a fan of the way that they treated John when he came back to DC for sure.
I mean, I get that, man, but don't give up 50 points. I mean, it's like baseball, man, where the old heads like, now baseball, guys flipping the bat after a home run or staring down home runs is like, the old school people are like, oh, don't do that. Don't give up the home run. I mean, look, if you don't want to celebrate a dude dropping a 50 piece, then don't give up a 50 piece. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I think a lot of people are behind the rebuild, but it's all about you do it, man. You got to make changes. And you got to really, and I think they did that with the front office. You brought in a really good front office, man. But, you want to resonate with the fans. You honor John Wall. That's all I got to say. You honor John Wall because he did a lot. He did a lot for this city, man. A lot on the court, man. I mean, it was fun to watch these teams. When they finally built this team up to a playoff team, it was fun to watch. And, repeatedly, he signed to stay in DC. He could have went elsewhere. And I get it. A lot of people weren't fan of the Supermax, and I get that. But, no, he deserves better than a video and not saying anything about what he did. I mean, that's cold. So
110%. So yeah, we're going to talk about the preview for tomorrow night against the Hornets. Before we do that, do we have a quick word from Brandon?
Yes, sir. Tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's right, $150 if your team wins, though. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to do it than right now because the app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over and unders, parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOnNBA and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the National Football League. And Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national sports covering every league. So go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right.
Yes, sir. All right. So they played the Hornets again for the third time. Last time we played them, Mark Williams had 20 points, 20 boards. He had a Moses Malone, Shaquille O'Neal, Wilt Chamberlain, George Mikan, any big man that you name it. David Robinson, he had an admiral type of performance against the Washington Wizards. Had 10 board, had a double before halftime. I mean, that's just telling right there. He dominated. LaMelo Ball had a good game. Gordon Hayward had about 25, 27 points. Now they have additions to the team. Miles Bridges came back off of suspension. So they are almost fully healthy. Terry Rozier is really the only guy that's out. Other than that, they're a pretty healthy team right now. They just lost to the Celtics. Actually, I'm sorry, they just beat the Celtics in an upset victory. Basically, they beat the Celtics yesterday. Let me put the box score from that game. And they went to overtime, 118 to 121, and Miles Bridges actually hit the go ahead basket to win that game. Now they did give up 45 points to Jason Tatum, but LaMelo Ball ended up with 36. Gordon Hayward had 20. Mark Williams had 18 points and 16 boards. Miles Bridges had 15 boards, which is insane. PJ Washington had 15 points. So Brandon Miller only had 9, but Brandon Miller's had a couple of good games this season as well. So what are your thoughts on the Hornets, and what are your keys to development, or we'll even say victory?
Woo, I mean,
or
I mean, yeah, there we go. I mean, looking at it, man, I mean, it's a winnable game. We played them tough both times. We got the dub in Charlotte, and we had the dub going in 7 minutes in the fourth quarter. So, and then we know how we are in fourth quarters. But I mean, it's a winnable game. They're kind of where we are. They got young guys that are developing, and Brandon Miller. They got vets that they want to move on from, like Jordan Hayward. But here's the thing, man. One thing I'm looking at is rebounding. I mean, if you want to have a chance with anybody in this league, we've got to rebound. And we've shown that we are abysmal at rebounding. So, I mean, you best believe Mark Williams, I mean, Nick Richards, you got guys who, again, you mentioned it, Miles Bridges, PJ Washington. These guys can rebound at a high level. So rebounding is something that I want to see more energy in the paint, defending and rebounding. Stop extending possessions for other teams, prevent a lot of these second chance points, man. So rebounding is the key. Looking at development, I'm obviously, as far as the third or maybe fourth scorer, because Tyus Jones has been kind of stepping up as far as the scoring department. Denny obviously is a guy I'm looking at to be that security blanket. If we have, an off night from Kuzma or Jordan Poole, I definitely want to see Denny and Corey Kispert get their shots up, man. I'm definitely, as far as Denny not being hesitant with 3-point, definitely you got to look, take it. Bilal, I think this is a big matchup, man. Looking at, especially in the battle of the benches, man. Bilal is very often not our best bench player. I want to see him unleashed, man. I want to see him more aggressive driving the lane, try to draw more fouls, but been very impressed with Bilal. He's been playing good basketball. His shots coming along. So I definitely see this as a game for Bilal to kind of showcase what he can do on the second unit.
Yeah, I think so too. Giannis said a lot of good things about Bilal last night as well. Damian Lillard, they said he's not scared of the moment. He looks like he's not afraid. He looks he has a lot of confidence. So they said a lot of good. I don't have the quote up in front of me, but I know Giannis and Dame Lillard said a lot of good things about Bilal Coulibaly. So that's awesome to hear from two huge stars, all NBA, all stars, future Hall of Fame players, giving Bilal a lot of credit. So that speaks a lot of volumes right there. Huge thing you brought up is rebounding. Looking at the Hornets, just some stats. Their offensive rebounding percentage, they're 6th in the NBA. That's probably because of Mark Williams. They have some guys that will really crash the boards. Miles Bridges, 15 boards. Mark Williams, 16 boards. PJ Washington is a good rebounder. So that just shows some of the numbers that they did last night against the Celtics. Now, they do give up a good amount of points. Looking at the defensive rating, they are 30th in defensive rating. I want to say that's dead last in the NBA, so they basically are the worst defensive league in the team. They're 27th in points allowed per game, so this could be another high-scoring game. Kuz is going to have to get downhill again. It's going to be an interesting matchup, him going against Miles Bridges. But Kuz had 33 that first time we beat them. Can this be a better game? Can Jordan Poole continue scoring and getting to the basket? Did he shoot the ball well? No, but he took some okay shots. The shot selection was iffy and whatnot, but the shot started to fall. He started to get to the basket more. It looked like he took the game a little bit more serious. Even though he did that thing where he was walking the ball up, a lot of people made fun of him on that on social media. But it looked like he was more engaged. He was more locked in. Can he do that again against another bad defensive team? The Bucks are a bad defensive team. Can he keep it up? Denny keep being aggressive. You brought up Denny as well. Johnny Davis, is he going to get playing time? Most likely not. He might get 5 minutes. We'll see here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just continue to get into the basket. Rebound's going to be the tail of the tape here. If they can't rebound, then Mark Williams is going to have another big game. Miles Bridges is going to dominate. Gordon Hayward will get to the basket with second chance opportunities. LaMelo Ball, he's a great facilitator. He's been hot too. So it's going to be an intriguing matchup again for Tyus Jones, Jordan Poole, just trying to stay in front of LaMelo Ball. Once again, it's going to be a high-scoring game, but it's going to come down to rebounding, getting stops, and just ball movement. And can Gafford, this is a game where Gafford did a good job against Mark as far as like blocking. He had a couple block shots against Mark Williams, but this is a game where Gaff, you're going to have to step up and really take some pride. I know he's not going to stop Mark Williams, but at the same time, this is a game where Gafford should be like, hey, this guy got 20 boards. I cannot let that happen again. I cannot let him get any offensive boards. I'm going to make it a point, and I'm going to box him out. I'm going to stay out of foul trouble. I'm going to put a body on him. I'm going to be physical, and he's not getting any more than 8 boards. So that's what, if I was coaching Gaff, this is what I would say to him. It may not happen, but at least make that the goal.
Absolutely. I mean, Gaff's got a lot to prove, man. I mean, because the dude got 20 plus rebounds on you. So you better believe that he's got to have some fire in him, man, because like I said, to a certain degree, everybody on this roster is playing for a job. Is playing to be a piece of this team going forward. And Gaff, everybody, he's got to step it up, because a lot of people think, he's relegated to being the backup, which, obviously this season he's going to be primary center, man. But I think he's got a lot to prove, man. And he definitely, I think this is a game where he can have a step that, he can step it up a little bit, because again, somebody gets, think about it. What is the biggest function of a center outside of defending the paint? Is rebounding. So when you have an opposing center drop 20 plus rebounds, man, you best believe you better have a fire underneath him. So I definitely want to see Gaff step it up this game, man. But I think it's a winnable game. We played them tough both games. We beat them in Charlotte, and we had a league in 7 minutes left at Cap 1, man. So I definitely think it's a winnable game. So
I think it's a winnable game too. It is in Charlotte, if I'm not mistaken. So we actually we beat them in Charlotte last time we played them. So it's going to be a tall task. It's going to be an up and down game, very high scoring. Kuz, Jordan Poole, they just have to lock in. Same thing with West. If they actually want to win the game, he's got to keep guys in that are playing winning basketball. And I know that third quarter has been huge for West Central Jr. throughout his career, so it's going to be huge. Corey Kisher's got knockdown shots, obviously, and we'll see what Shamet does coming off the bench. Can he get his trade value up? Same thing with Gallo.
Yeah.
Tyus Jones, all those guys can they get their trade value up as well? And Bilal, just keep doing what he's doing, running the floor, finishing strong, knocking down that wide open 3. So, but my prediction, I got us losing by. I think it's going to be a close game again. I got us losing by 5.
Oh man. I guess I'll be the optimist. We'll win by 5. What's up?
I like it. I like it a lot. You heard it here from Brandon. The Wizards are winning tomorrow night by 5. All right. So we just want to make sure. Thank you. We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Every dayers, make sure that you check it out. Locked On has launched their first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Make sure you guys hit the notification bell and subscribe. Hell to the Wizards. Peace.